Confidence is common among anime villains, but it can also be their downfall. Their hubris often fuels them to achieve their darker ambitions, regardless of the innocent people who may be hurt in the process. However, their trust in their abilities can be just as dangerous to themselves if not monitored. The most overconfident antagonists are often undone by their own foolishness and refusal to see their flaws in their plan. Such characters may still be powerhouses, but a lack of foresight provides a glaring weakness that heroes can exploit to their advantage. Here are top 10 most overconfident anime villains of all time. Starting off our list with the character, of course, Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Dio was easily one of the most powerful characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. His ability to stop time surpassed Jotaro's, giving him the chance to destroy Crusader and claim victory during the battle for Cairo. However, Dio's overconfidence made him waste much of the window that he has gloating for his frozen opponent. When Jotaro figured out the nature of the villain's abilities and extended his own potential, it made what should have been Dio's guaranteed victory a narrow but avoidable loss. On the ninth number, the character is Uogin from Hunter x Hunter. Uogin was a Phantom Troops powerhouse in Hunter x Hunter, capable of wielding enhancement Nen ability with frightening proficiency. He could easily overpower his peers and enemies too. Uogin even ordered the other members of the troop to stand down so that he could eliminate the Shadow Beast on his own. Still, Uogin's overconfidence would not last forever. When Kurapika challenged him to a solo battle, they met in an abandoned canyon that would ultimately serve as his gravesite. Uogin may have been stronger than Kurapika, but the Vigilante's access to all School of Nen proved his saving grace. On the 8th number, the character is Gallant from 7 Deadly Sins. Despite being among the weakest of the 7 Deadly Sins 10 Commandment, Gallant also had the most confidence. He confronted Meliodas immediately after appearing in Britannia, having expected to fight him at full strength. When Gallant realized how much of Meliodas has been weakened, he almost killed him with little effort. However, Gallant's overconfidence was much costlier when running into Escanor. He assumed the lion's sin to be small and measly, but in reality, he was the strongest human to have ever lived. Gallant tried to flee the fight only to be petrified by his own ability. On the 7th number, the character is Arlong from One Piece. Arlong was more overconfident than any of the One Piece villains. Whether facing off against Jinbei or losing to Luffy, his refusal to take opponents seriously regardless of the rank repeatedly resulted in his humiliation. Arlong's greatest blunder was when he attempted to fight Kizaru. Given the man's Logia fruit and Haki, Arlong realistically didn't have any means of actual winning. It resulted in his imprisonment into Impel Down and costed him credibility among the already tenuous Sun Pirates. And by the time he was released, only 3 crew members agreed to serve him. On the 6th number, the character is Dorian from Baki. Dorian's insistence that he couldn't be defeated made him Baki's most overconfident character. He picked up a fight with Orochi that broke his entire body and left him at the mercy of his enemies. Despite this, Dorian broke out of the hospital seconds after waking up, then ambushed Orochi in his own house. Further wounded from the confrontation, he still challenged Orochi's prize student only to be finally defeated on both a physical and philosophical level. On the 5th number, the character is Balmus from the Rising of the Shield Hero. Pop Balmus was a highly manipulative and powerful antagonist in the Rising of the Shield Hero. He schemed in secret, turning the cardinal heroes against each other to ensure that none could oppose his attempt to seize the throne. Despite his cunning, Balmus failed to consider the possibility that heroes would unite in their direst hour. He believed that his follower had already made him strong enough to defeat his enemies even if they worked together, so his eventual defeat came as a surprise. On the 4th number, the character is Orochimaru from Naruto. Orochimaru was Naruto's most tenacious and long-standing villain, but his ambition far exceeds his abilities. Whether he faced Itachi or Sasuke, he consistently underestimated his opponents and nearly paid for it with his life. While Orochimaru did achieve some success, such as his assassination of Hiruzen Sarutobi during the invasion of Konoha, the victory came at a cost though. Orochimaru lost his arms and the ability to perform hand signs, hindering his future plans. But ultimately, Orochimaru disregarded the danger he faced, seeing it as a necessary risk for the potential reward. On the 3rd number, the character is Yami from Bleach. When the Espada first confronted Bleach's heroes, Yami underestimated his opponents. He considered himself fortunate to have found such a weak adversary, only to have his arms severed almost immediately. Although Yami eventually gained the upper hand, but it was only because Ichigo struggled for the control of his own body. Yami's underestimation of Uryu almost resulted in his defeat and prevented him from taking revenge on Ichigo. He remained overconfident and even attempting to draw the attention of two most powerful Shinigami when they were about to battle each other instead of him. On the second number, the character is Akaza from Demon Slayer. Akaza took a great pride in being one of the Demon Slayer's most formidable villains. He toyed with Rengoku for much of their battle, attempting to convince him to become a demon voluntarily. In the end, Akaza wasted so much time that by the time he was ready to finish Rengoku, the sun had risen. He was humiliated and forced to retreat, unable to kill his remaining opponents. However, Rengoku's injuries were too severe and he perished soon after. And finally, on the first number, the character is Tomura Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. Tomura Shigaraki had the most significant overconfidence issues of any character in My Hero Academia. He consistently overestimated his own abilities, such as when he attempted to invade UA with only 2 advanced Nomu and a handful of thugs, or took an overhaul when the league was already weakened. Even in his enhanced state, Shigaraki pushed his body beyond its limit, allowing All for One to take control. His refusal to retreat costed him several valuable comrades, including Compress and Gigantomachia. And that concludes our countdown for the top 10 anime villains who were defeated due to their own overconfidence. From Pop Balmus in The Rising of the Shield Hero to Tomura Shigaraki in My Hero Academia. Each of these characters learned the hard way that arrogance can lead to their own downfall. It's a reminder to all of us that humility and respect for our opponents are key traits to have in any battle, whether it's in anime or in real life. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed this list, and if you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And that's it, and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.